Joining me now, Emmy Paulos. She is an attorney at Levin Papantonio. So, Emmy, you're working on cases that deal with social media addiction.
Yes, that's correct.
Can you just walk me through who are the defendants in this instance?
Okay. So this particular litigation is a multi-district litigation, which has been consolidated in the Northern District of California. Currently, the defendants include Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, as well as Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube.
Okay. And just to explain to people, like, when you say it's a multi-district litigation, it's been consolidated. Essentially, there are various different plaintiffs around the country, and they're all suing these various companies. You're putting them together for the sake of like everybody's expedience, I guess, both the plaintiff and the defendant side in a multi-district litigation. And unlike a class action suit, where everyone suffers the same harm from the same act by a defendant, a mass tort is everyone suffers perhaps a range of damages, as it were, from the same acts by a group of defendants.
Yes, that's correct. So essentially, a multi-district litigation is a civil procedural process that when you have a significant number of plaintiffs that allege similar injuries, this is a process that you could petition to ask the courts to review to see whether consolidation would be good. The purpose of consolidation is that it allows, like you mentioned, for the process to be more uniform, streamlined, consistent rulings. You're absolutely correct. It is different than a class action in the aspect that every case stands on its own merits. We have bellwether trials. So these are trials that are representative of the common plaintiff, common injuries, and each is tested on the theories, on the legal theories. And essentially, any sort of damages that are recovered are based on the merits of that particular case.
So the plaintiff gets a bellwether and the defendant gets a bellwether case. And they find out how a jury will, how much of an award or no award they'll give on those two different cases. And then usually some type of negotiated settlement falls in between those cases. So what are the damages? Who are the plaintiffs in this case against it's Meta, YouTube, and
Snapchat and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So the plaintiffs are children that use social media that have become addicted to it. Addiction is looked at anything that's considered unhealthy use. So an example would be using social media many hours a day, or incessantly checking your social media, waking up in the middle of the night to see what's happening on social media, the fear of missing out when you're not on. It's really just it has its claws, like you're hooked on the platform. So essentially the plaintiffs are the children, the individuals that are under 18 that use social media and have developed an addicting habit with social media, and as a result of that have some psychological and mental harms, which could be depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, attempted suicide, and sometimes in very unfortunate cases, actual suicide.
Okay, in this instance, what what is the theory of the case here as to the liability that these corporations who put out these social media platforms?
One thing I should also mention, another injury that is very prevalent in this litigation are eating disorders and body dysmorphia. So you see a lot of that with how these platforms have these beauty filters that like augment reality and give users a false perception of what they're supposed to look like. So that is another injury that I did want to mention. So the theories in this litigation are grounded on product liability and negligence. So essentially, the crux of the litigation is alleging that the platforms were designed in a way that are unreasonably dangerous for young users, for children users.
And I mean, it seems obvious. I mean, but what do you need to do to prove this? Like, do you need do you need to find the working groups in Meta or Facebook that sit there and go like, okay, this is how we're going to engage children? I mean, what constitutes evidence to support that claim?
Yeah, the evidence is really like how the features are designed and how they're utilized, and kind of the thought process behind it. Like, why was something designed a certain way? Like, why is there infinite scroll? Why isn't there just a natural conclusion after viewing a news feed? Why do you have to continuously go? And the thought process behind that is the longer an individual is scrolling, the more engaged they are and the more time they spend on the platform. So it really is pretty nuanced because we go feature by feature and see how that particular feature contributes to the addiction component in the litigation.
And at what stage is this process? Like, and what will you need to prove that that they had done that? Like, do you need to show documents? Is this going to be something that's going to have to happen under the course of a discovery?
So discovery is already completed. So we are done with depositions. There's a multi-district litigation, which is the case in federal court, and we have a sister case that's in state court in Los Angeles. It's in the JCCP. The first trial date for the JCCP case on a personal injury claim is going to be mid-November. So we are gearing up for trial. So it's really exciting.
How many plaintiffs do you have?
I think in general, I would say between the two litigations, and I could be wrong, but I think the latest numbers I saw were about 3,800.
How is it that low?
That's a great question. I think a lot of that may have to do with kind of the sensitive nature of the injury and the topic. I've talked to a lot of parents that are very protective over their children's psychological records. They feel uncomfortable disclosing that information. And they're just essentially, kind of scared to come forward and bring a case.
How does one establish that this is a function of, if a child has anxiety, how does one establish that it's a function of being on social media so much?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So there's a lot of science and literature that's been recently developed as this issue becomes more prevalent and more known, that does show the links between certain mental health disorders and social media use. So that's one aspect of the equation. The other aspect is working with experts that do an independent evaluation and assess what features the child is using and what impact those features have and what impact that may have on their psychological well-being.
And what and ultimately you're going to require them to just basically keep children off of these platforms, or what are the reforms that they could implement that would make it?
Yeah, I don't think necessarily keep them off, just make it a safer place for children to be able to utilize social media, meaning that there are, enforceable parental controls where parents can be active in setting those up to limit the type of time that a child spends or the type of content that they're being exposed
theoretically,
to.
I already have that as a parent. I mean, it's difficult to operate, but theoretically, I can say you don't have X amount of time on Instagram, or you only have that, through my iPhone.
Right. And so, there are certain features and functions, like you mentioned, that as a parent you can utilize, but oftentimes your child is not with you, right? They're using their cell phones at school, they're using their cell phones in the library, they're using their cell phones at sporting events or with friends, and you're not, monitoring that. And so essentially these would be protections, additional protections and safeguards that would be embedded within the social media platforms.
Within the app itself.
Exactly, yes.
So that the app would record this account can only use, but couldn't they then go make another account?
Well, and that's where the, verification process comes into play, which is one of the issues in the case is that there isn't really a true age verification process, but there are ways to do verification that would circumvent and prevent, creating multiple accounts.
Interesting. Okay. And in terms of like the number of plaintiffs, I'm like sort of shocked a little bit because I feel like this has been a big. Once you've gone through this discovery and whatnot, like, isn't one of the fears that you're going up against some of the deepest possible pockets who could, it seems to me, wage this litigation for decades and not even recognize the line item on their operating budget on any given year?
Yeah, that's our hope is that that doesn't happen. No, we're definitely got a consortium of wonderful attorneys and law firms that are heading this cause. We've put in significant resources. We stood foot to foot with the defendants and intend to continue doing so and seeing this out to the end.
Great. Emmy, Paulos from Levin Papantonio, really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. It's nice being here. Thanks.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.